just about ready to play soccer, and Donnie Benner, I'm sure the butterflies at the moment are in the stomachs of 22 kids.
They certainly are, Gary. This is the game. This is the one we've been waiting for all season. They are here. It's about ready to start now. The Freedom huddle is breaking. They're going out onto the field. Trinity doing likewise. We're only seconds away from the opening kickoff.
There will be 4 20-minute quarters, and if the game is not decided at that time, there'll be as many as 4 5-minute overtime periods. And if that doesn't decide it, then we go to a shootout, huh, Don?
I believe. I'm not quite certain on that, Gary. Let's hope we resolve it before that.
Let's hope so, too. It will be Freedom as the home team. They will kick the ball off, and that usually means that Cal Sarkozy will put it into play. The referees today are the same 2 we had yesterday, Jim Titus and Lou Mitchell. Trinity Hillers, they're out of District 7, which is right on the outskirts of Pittsburgh. They are the number 2 team out of District 7 we mentioned at the top of the show, but I'm sure, Donnie, they consider themselves to be the number 1 team now, and nobody's going to doubt that.
Their coach said they have peaked and they have arrived, and he's definitely right.
Number 1, Brian Hammond is the Trinity boy who's around the ball at the moment. However, it is in the Trinity zone and kicked out of there by Heath Hamilton, number 19, but Freedom controls, and that is Helder Morera, number 11, who tries to center it. Kicked out of there by Greg Day, number 9. Greg Day is an outstanding defensive player. In fact, head coach Art Richardson told me that he is the most composed player he has on the field.
There's a shot on goal by Calvin Sarkozy, the fine center midfielder for Freedom, wide of its mark. Early going here, I notice how Trinity is keeping a lot of people back on defense. That was one of the obvious concerns of their coach.
They are a good, fine defensive team, as evidenced by the 0-0 score, which went all the way through all the overtimes yesterday with State College. State College, by the way, is your runner-up winner in the consolation game. They won by a 3-2 score over Downingtown, the team which Freedom beat by a 3-0 score. Sarkozy puts it in play. It is headed right out of there by Trinity and moved up to midfield, where it's controlled by Brad Evans. Again, cleared back to midfield action. Coming over to make the play is Scotty Reimer, but Trinity controls for the first time today. They move it into Freedom territory. Scott Hicks is number 12. And now they try to move it up to number 3, Johnny Alt. Alt is one of the leading scorers on the team with 34 goals this year. The leading scorer is number 11, Todd Hammond, with 35 goals. Hammond wears number 11. Number 10 with the ball is Haar, John Haar. Jason Haar, that is, the midfielder. He's a senior.
And it'll be a throw-in, Gary. It was played off the defender. Freedom marking up. Let's see what's going to happen.
You kick the ball out on the sidelines, you get a throw-in. You kick it out over the end line, and you get a corner kick.
Or a goal kick.
Or a goal kick, depending on which team does that. Controlled at the moment by Corey Sensky.
Head shot on goal by number 1, Brian Hammond. Handled readily by Paragallo, who's looking now to distribute the ball. Freedom breaking out, ready to go on to the attack. There's your clearance.
Freedom comes in at 23-0-1. They're only tied with Emmaus. Trinity Hillers 28-2-1. And they avenged both of their losses. The most recent was yesterday against State College, a team which had beaten them earlier in the season. Kicked into Freedom territory by Greg Day, but controlled by Brad Evans.
Freedom moving the ball well right now, Gary. Nice inner passing there from Reimer to Frank Sarkozy, back to Calvin. Now the ball's going backward for the moment. It's coming up toward the wing where Armeo will play it. Looks like a throw-in for Freedom. Frank Sarkozy going to take the throw. No, his cousin Calvin comes over, takes the ball. Looks like he'll try to get it in play.
Good call by the official. It was off of Scott Armstrong, although both players were working on it.
Here comes our first corner kick, Gary. The defender hit the ball over his goal line. Therefore, it will be a corner kick awarded to Freedom. Frank Sarkozy, fine sophomore midfielder, will be setting the ball up in the corner arc and looking to find somebody on the Freedom team inside the penalty area.
He pushes it right into the center, where it is controlled by Jason Haar, who heads the ball out of danger, but Freedom continues to control. They move it back to that defensive wall of Trinity. As one of their keys, of course, is to try to keep Freedom off the scoreboard because of their offensive power. Cal Sarkozy controlling the ball, continues to control, finally kicked out of there by Jason Haar. Moves it upfield. Number 3 is Johnny Alt.
Seems to me Trinity's playing an awful lot of defense in the early going, Gary. They're really packing him in front of the goal.
Well, if you watch Freedom yesterday, Don, you've got to be afraid of their awesome offensive power.
I'm sure Coach Richardson doesn't want Freedom to have the luxury of the early score. This might be his rationale.
Pushed upfield. A nice play. and played out of there, and handled by Grunewald. Does a good job of keeping it from going out and follows it right up.
Very fine play by Doug, keeping that ball alive. Freedom now on the attack again. Here comes Helder Marrero overlapping, playing a nice ball out to the outside to Frank Sarkozy.
He'll be the first one to get there. He'll look to center. He slips and falls. It'll be a goal kick.
Freedom very much on the attack, Gary, here in the early going. They've had pretty much control of the ball in the midfield and offensive third of the field.
The official clock is kept down on the field. There is a scoreboard clock out of our view, which we cannot see, so we are keeping unofficial time up here on top of the truck. We are at the 4:45 mark now of the first quarter.
Lovely play by Helder Marrero, screening the man off and letting the ball roll and then playing it as it rolled by both of them. Sort of sold him the dummy there, Gary.
Major change since yesterday, Don. We have yet to have one violation in the game, and yesterday was an extremely physical game between both clubs, and the whistle started to blow early on.
Well, the type of play today, there's nothing really to call, Gary. It's been very good soccer playing. The ball's doing the work, and the skills are coming into play.
Good hustle by Helder Marrero. He was just looking for one little mistake, and he may have drilled that one home. He did not get to it. It was picked up by Greg Gato, and Greg Gato will boom it out of there. Don Gato has an outstanding stat this year. The goal against average is well under .75.
Well, you can't do much better than that, Gary, can you? He's a very nice size for a keeper. I think his coach cited he was about 6'2". He's got a nice, lean, athletic-looking build, gymnastic-type build. Keepers usually are smaller than that. Sometimes it's a disadvantage to be so tall, especially on the low ball. However, 6'2" isn't exceptionally tall. Usually they like him around 5'11" is about the ideal
Sarkozy
size.
with a shot right on. Beautiful move by Cal Sarkozy to get opened up, to get a lane right at that goalkeeper. Gato did not budge. He picked it up cleanly.
Freedom looking very aggressive there. They were looking to play any carom that might have come off that keeper. There are a couple black shirts around him as he made the stop.
Again, it was Helder Marrero, who always seems to be around the ball to loosen things up and get the ball over to Calvin Sarkozy. And here's a kick up. It's not going to be played. It will be Trinity ball. They'll get a throw in. Throwing it in is number 20, Scott Armstrong. Played right out. It'll be a Freedom throw in. Scott Reimer getting himself in position, and he will do the honors. He gets it into Cal Sarkozy. He is marked by Brian Hammond and now picked up by Jason Haar, but Sarkozy tries the center. It's going to go off the end line. It'll be a goal kick.
Very nice move by Sarkozy to gain the touch line, and of course his centering attempt went behind the goal. A little waste on that. He had a little more time, I think, Gary, than he believed he had, and he might have unloaded it a little too soon.
Freedom was here last in 1976, but they have not gotten a state championship, and this may be their best opportunity. They have an outstanding array of talent, and many people feel that they were the best team in these four after looking at the games yesterday. That's going to go over the touchline, and
some very nice inner passing there by Freedom. Notice Eddie Pfeiffer, how he distributed that ball outside to Dougie Grunewald. Fortunately, Dougie could not come up with a centering pass on that particular play, and it will be a goal kick for Trinity.
Freedom starters. Paragallo is in goal. Number 6, Cal Sarkozy. 7 is Joe Pinter. 9 is Mike Armeo. 10 is Eddie Pfeiffer. 11 is Helder Marrero. 14 is Frank Sarkozy. 15, Brad Evans. 16, Carlos Coelho. 17, Scott Reimer. And number 4 is Doug Grunewald. And the sun comes out brightly now here at David C. Field at Shippensburg State College. Beautiful facility, Don Benner.
Yeah, it's a very nice facility. The whole complex out here, the whole campus, what I meant to say, is a very nice facility. It's a joy to be out here. The weather a lot better than yesterday, at least temperature-wise.
Well, everybody we talk to that's been coming out here year after year says this is the nicest weather ever. In fact, by far, it's always been raining or snowing.
Well, this time of year can be tricky out in these parts, I'm sure.
Cal Sarkozy tries the center as he got a look at Mike Armeo going right towards the goal mouth. It's going to be a push. There's our first violation.
Here again, the defender should have just contained there. There was nothing he could do with the ball going the way he was, but in his anxiety to try to gain possession, he pushed from behind.
We don't want to belabor it, but again, Don, quick synopsis of indirect and direct free kicks.
All right, your direct free kicks are awarded for major penalties: pushing, holding, tripping, striking, jumping at the man, charging. A direct free kick means one play into the goal. The offensive team can score, indeed, directly.
In fact, we had an important one yesterday.
We sure did, when Calvin Sarkozy shot one just over the head of the defensive wall and put it in the back of the net for the first Freedom goal that loomed very big. Indirect free kicks, Gary, getting back to them, are awarded for your lesser penalties: improper charge, unsportsmanlike conduct, offsides, which we often see, and these type of penalties. Indirect free kick, there must be 2 touches before the ball can be played in the net. Now, it can be by either team, an offensive touch to a defense and in, or offense to offense and in. But if it goes straight in on 1 touch by a shooter, it's a goal kick coming out because the ball has crossed the goal line.
Throw in by Helder Morera, and it immediately goes off of the head of a Hiller. And the ball played back into Freedom territory, but controlled by Scott Reimer. And it's been all Freedom, Don, here in the first quarter.
Well, here again, as I say, Gary, they're putting everybody back on defense. There just aren't a lot of white shirts up there when they do clear the ball. Here's a little challenge by number 3, who is John Alt, the right wing of Trinity. But by and large, I think they're putting a lot at midfield and back on defense.
Is there a tendency on the part of maybe an Art Richardson who looks at his team and looks at the Freedom Pates and says, hey, they got a little bit more talent than we do. Let's see if we can hang in there as long as we can, keep it a 0-0 score, and just hope we get a break.
That might be his thinking. He didn't seem like that type of a person before the game. I thought he'd play a pretty straight-up game, but as I look here, I see most of the white shirts constantly back in the defensive third and midfield third of the field, and very little attack.
Outstanding play by Carlos Coelho, who continues to move it upfield. Frankie can't control it. Frankie does control it now with a good trap.
Nice chest trap. Well done. Great skills for a sophomore. Like I said,
there is going to be a charge.